The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. We're excited you're joining us for day 2 of our Cloud Summit series, focused on the latest insights and tools in cloud technology. I'd like to welcome to you our third and final webinar for today, Plan and Execute Your Move to a Modern Integrated Cloud Platform. Just a couple of housekeeping items we'd like to mention before we begin. All attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit them through the GoToWebinar question box. We'll be collecting questions to answer as a follow-up to this session. I'd like to introduce today's speaker. Lance Knepper is our Director of Cloud Services, and Tyler Bowman is our Director of Cloud Operations and Sales. So at this point, I believe we're ready to go ahead and transition the presentation over to you, Lance.
Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Lance Knepper. Thank you again for coming. This is the last of our webinar series for the Cloud Summit. So we really appreciate those that have been able to make some of the other sessions, and we certainly expect this will be a great session of learning for you as well. Don't worry on the title. It looks like we did have a title. This was from a previous presentation, so you are in the right session if you're here to learn about the move to cloud. Our agenda really covers quite a few different areas we're going to go through in the next 45 minutes. First, we're going to go through really an introduction of what's really driving organizations that we work with, or for those prospects that we're talking to, and making a transition to cloud and what that means. We'll walk through some considerations. We'll talk about the Microsoft Cloud. Certainly, that's our big platform that we both work in and recommend to our clients as we're looking to transfer some of their compute power up to the cloud. We'll go through, Tyler will actually walk us through some cloud deployment models and understanding the best options you have for moving to the cloud at your pace. We'll then get into some offerings that Velosio has been doing for clients to date. Give you what a lot of people like, certainly, is understand from a client case study perspective and seeing how other clients are making this transition today. And then Tyler will wrap up for us and go through some of our Stratus Cloud Marketplace offerings and how you can automate the buying process as it relates to cloud. So again, Tyler Bowman is here with me. He's our Director of Cloud Sales and Operations, and he and I will be trading back and forth to move you through the webinar. As we mentioned, this is day 2, and obviously the last of the last session for the 6 sessions. As we start to move into, before we actually jump into the content, at Velosio, a lot of our customers know us, and certainly for good reason, as an expert in our accounting, ERP, CRM, and some certainly related solutions like talent management and other industry solutions. And so both Tyler and I represent our cloud services area, and with that, that's inclusive of our Office, Microsoft Office productivity, and we had a couple great sessions around compliance, security yesterday, collaboration, and also some tools around things like Microsoft Power Apps and Flow, which are ways to really automate your workflows and mobile solutions. Today, we're really going to focus around the public, private, hybrid cloud solutions and how you can leverage these solutions to really continue to move you to a modern platform, a modern compute platform. With cloud services, our focus is really certainly around helping clients deploy, but we also focus a lot around cloud assessments, the actual hosting themselves, both the public cloud, which is what we're going to look at today with Microsoft Azure, as well as our own private cloud, where we also have certain hosted clients, as well as another partner for those that have advanced compliance needs as well. Certainly this is an area that we live and breathe every day, and really excited to talk about how we can help your transition to the cloud. Starting out, and what I started out with yesterday as well, is around this digital transformation idea, and it's something that in the industry, and whether it be Microsoft or any of the analysts like Forrester or Gardner, talk a lot about digital transformation. And when we think about digital transformation aligned with Microsoft's visions and strategies as well, it really is these 4 key pillars. It's how do you focus and bring the right solutions and enable your employees, your customers, specifically using technology. And so those are really important for the experience in driving, whether it be the revenue or productivity of those stakeholders. Also looking at how do you optimize your operations? How can you leverage technology to streamline your process areas, to reduce costs, and ultimately, again, to create a much faster interaction with your customer, whether it be shipping, whether it be the website. And ultimately, the last piece of this pillar is transforming your product. So how are you moving your product offerings Maybe today you're a distributor. Maybe down the road you want to be able to offer some subscription services. And how do you leverage the cloud to be able to do more as a service type service or function? Ultimately, we see that really leveraging digital transformation really creates these results at the bottom here, and that is giving you a better opportunity for product, service, and innovation, for really impacting your customer with a great experience, whether it be how they order from your site, how you ship their materials, how you service them, maybe if you're a field service type company. How do you build your processes to ensure that every customer interaction, every employee experience is really enlightened and enhanced with digital technologies? How do you get the right talent and leadership in your organization that can carry these digital transformation initiatives forward? And ultimately, as an organization, every company has their secret sauce. And how do you enhance that secret sauce to really increase your competitive advantage to go to the market faster, better, and really, again, enhance those experiences? And lastly, trendability and leveraging the cloud, because it is repeatable. It's something you can really, from a cost perspective, from being able to leverage it to enhance your solutions, it gives you that consistency and trendability that you can rely on. And so really, as you start to think about, hey, move to modern for your organization, what are some questions that you may be asking? And typically speaking, the first one that we talk with a lot of our clients and why they come to us is I have systems that are at end of life, or maybe they're not keeping up with my demand. Maybe I have seasonality. Maybe my business is spiking, and short of me continuing to add equipment or increase resources in my equipment, it's not keeping up with what I need. Secondly, what does my platform need to look like in the future? As I start to change, maybe come up with new product ideas or new innovations, do I have the right platform in place to be able to capture those opportunities? Thirdly, how do I create my system of intelligence? Traditionally, whether you're thinking about an ERP system, a CRM system, warehouse management system, those are systems of record where you're tracking transactions and reporting on those transactions. Those are still critical path for what we do for business today. But how do I leverage that and take that transactional approach and turn it into more of a system intelligence, more proactive, more business intelligence or analytical focused, and really provide me insights that I can not only view my business, but actually leverage that data to help me drive where my business is going in the future. The next two are always a key conversation point of how is this going to affect my cash flow? How do I set my budget? How do I manage and monitor these costs from a cloud perspective? We'll talk about that. And lastly, can I reduce the complexity and transform my business leveraging technology as an enabler? And these always lead to roadblocks organizationally. So as you start to lay out your plan and design, what are the things that you need to think about that you potentially may need to really resolve within your organization? I won't go through all, you can certainly read down the line here, but certainly having your leadership aligned from a senior leadership perspective, whether you're a business leader or a technology leader, we need to ensure that everyone gets the vision and it really buys into the vision of where cloud can take us. Having the right resources assigned. The number 6 is always really, and really again, a purpose of what we're talking about today is really understanding what is possible, what's available, whether it be from Microsoft or other partners in the marketplace, and give me the knowledge so that I can make a really informed decision and move my business the right direction. And so as you think about cloud technologies in general, these are some key points that certainly need to be taken into consideration. And really it has moved from a storage and just a virtual machine or compute power, and really it's become also the ability to be more strategic in what we're driving. So whether it is providing you the platform to drive new innovations in collaboration, maybe you're a company that develops software, how can we do that in a more agile, fast way? How do I leverage maybe my existing assets? So this is not all just a rip and replace model. Maybe I have a legacy system that just needs to stay as it is, and that's fine as well. How do I build cloud around those legacy systems using what they call the next bullet point, hybrid cloud? How do I integrate my existing networks, my multiple locations into a single cloud platform and ensure that I have secure and really fast connectivity between the data centers and Microsoft or other partners in my own on-premise data center? How can I scale to meet my business needs? A lot of our clients, even a recent client that we sold, does have that seasonality. 3 months of the year, they need to ramp up and double or triple their employee count and the system resources. And the cloud allows us to scale up that equipment as they need it and scale it down as their business need and load drops. And lastly, give me a single platform that's easy for me to manage, but also can leverage some advanced technologies, or what we think of as next generation technologies, that although they seem next generation are available today. And things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, the Internet of Things, are all things that these platform providers like Microsoft, like Google, like Amazon are building in to allow you to connect to as a service. So instead of having to have an artificial intelligence or machine learning team of data scientists at your location, we instead can connect applications to existing services and leverage those services with all the advanced functionality built in. So just some great opportunity as we look to move to the cloud in general. My last slide, I'll turn over to Tyler for a minute, is as you look at this, we know as a partner, and we see that cloud certainly continues to grow. And this is not just a fad, it's never been a fad. It's ultimately about adoption and allowing companies to, again, to go at their own pace. So we continue to see infrastructure as a service, which is essentially providing those compute powers, the virtual networks, all the pieces and parts that support moving a set of services or applications to the cloud will continue to grow over the next 5 years. And the bottom line is CIOs, technology leaders are really feeling that pressure to say, how do we certainly, again, evaluate this? It's not always we need to move the cloud everything now, but what is our plan? What is our strategy? And who are the right partners that can help us figure out that strategy? So with that, I'll turn it over to Tyler and talk a little bit about Microsoft Cloud.
Thanks, Lance. So good afternoon, everyone. So Microsoft Cloud is our choice for a platform for cloud. Whether we're talking about virtual machine deployments or just backing up data to a full disaster recovery and business continuity plan, Microsoft Azure is definitely a forefront in what we prefer our clients to work on, and a preferred in the industry from a growing standpoint. Website hosting is another quick way to move to the cloud, as well as platform as a service. Many organizations are running Office 365 to run their email and their collaboration platforms because it is cost effective and that workload gets moved from being in-house to being in the cloud. So your IT professionals can go back to doing what they do best, which is helping move your business forward. But when you're looking at cloud, there's really 3 types of models we need to look at. One being the public cloud, which has infinite scalability. You can scale as large as you want and as quickly as you want from a public cloud standpoint. It's usually products like Microsoft, Azure, Google, AWS. Those are really the key players in that public cloud space. When we look at a private cloud space, it's really the ability to keep your infrastructure scalable, keep it in a way that only you can access it. And it's usually kept in data centers like Equinox or Peak 10, Expedient, large colo locations, which either they provide you the hardware or you move your own hardware there. But what we find best with working with our customers is a combination of both. There are some applications that need to be in a private cloud location. There are some applications that can be fully SaaS, like Office 365. Knowing your business and the agility that your organization is looking to attain determines what the best solution or what the best multiple solutions might be for your organization. That is something we look at every day. But to give you some examples, in this example, we're simply just moving one workload to the cloud. This is on-premise workloads with some cloud services. So some of those cloud services would be just backing that data up online, which really becomes a great business continuity plan, because if you do lose your infrastructure, at least you have a copy of your data somewhere you can grab it and just pull it down and reinstall it. Another great way is doing Office 365, just moving your communication workloads and your collaboration workloads to the cloud and letting everything else run on premise. There's also a way of just moving your Active Directory. That way it's centrally managed in one location and you don't have to worry about all your organization's offices and all of those work groups just being managed in one central console. which gives your IT professionals a easier time of managing the users that are brought on or terminated, or even those seasonal users. The next way we look at deploying it is kind of a slightly bigger version of the hybrid cloud. And in this model, in this scenario, once again, you'd move to Office 365, which would be your collaboration piece, that communication piece. But now we're moving a few workloads. Let's say file storage. Let's say, maybe a few line of business, file and print, Active Directory, or even your remote desktop services server, which once again gives you a high availability in the case of a disaster or a site outage. Also allows your servers to communicate in a hybrid cloud model. So all of your workloads, let's say if you have a disgruntled employee, cannot be taken out in one step. Once again, if you're in an area like the East Coast or the Midwest where you're prone to natural disasters due to weather, this is a model that should be looked at for any organization. But when we look at a full cloud model, and this is a model that we usually recommend if you do not have a line of business solution, you do not have an ERP, you're starting out, the workloads being put all in the cloud gives you the best ability for agility for your organization. With running Office 365 for communication and collaboration, and then taking all the factors of Azure, from the virtual machines and the storage to using Azure-based SQL, as well as site recovery, your organization completely runs in the cloud with backup and redundancy, and you're not putting out a capital expenditure. Everything is run as an operational expenditure, so you have an idea of what it's costing you to run that for your entire business every month. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lance.
All right, thank you, Tyler. Awesome. So Tyler gave some great examples of some ways that you can look to move the cloud and different ways to set up those deployments. And we really do feel as a partner, certainly, but as someone who has seen a lot of success that customers have experienced, we do really feel strongly there's never been a better time to move folks up to Azure. And a lot of that also ties into where Microsoft is making the investments in the platform to support a lot of different areas of your business that can be integrated together. As we talked about, some of the reasons companies look to move quicker or basically at different levels is because of things like a need for software hardware refresh, a need for capacity, a need for compliance. And we haven't talked a lot about compliance, but things like GDPR, the General Data Protection Act over in Europe, is really forcing companies to evaluate, do I have the right controls in place around my data, wherever that data resides, whether it's in my database, whether it's in my Exchange, whether it's in my SharePoint site, whether it's in my team site, do I have the right controls in place to ensure that that data doesn't get set outside externally or somehow internally leveraged for some malicious activity. So really, as we look at the different things around triggers, I think the four things that we really want to highlight, and again, why Azure we feel is the best platform for whether it be your hosting or integration of applications or a lot of the things that we mentioned Azure is the backbone for. So we're going to focus on four real key elements around productivity, the hybrid piece that Tyler talked about, intelligence, and I want to hit a little bit about that machine learning and advanced AI functionality, and ultimately the security, which is certainly critical for all companies and one thing they have to have as part of their transition to the cloud. So let's start with the security first. And so I think the biggest thing that we see is, and we host a lot of our customers' data and systems in Azure on their behalf, and we have a team of managed services folks, and we leverage these tools on a daily basis to help manage the security and threat protection, to be able to monitor what is going on from the outside and ensuring that along with the Microsoft engineers, it's not getting to the inside. We leverage our protection and backup and disaster recovery, essentially to ensure the ability to recover not only the machines themselves, but also the content of the data based upon how we set up that backup and disaster recovery. I'm going to give an example in a minute and talk about how that really impacted one of our customers when they were attacked by a ransomware situation. So all these things from a security perspective and management perspective, whether it's things that we're managing on your behalf or your IT team is managing for your organization, having all this in one location through this Azure portal is critical for success. As you think about the hybrid, and just to dive a little bit more into that, what are we talking about? And Tyler hit on the Azure Active Directory. And what that means is you can have most organizations that run Microsoft technology have what they call Active Directory within their environment. And that's when you log in the environment, you log in your password, your authentication, and your authorization to get to different devices, systems, data, etc. The ability to integrate that up to the cloud so that the users have a single sign-on, single identity. So regardless of where they log in, on-premise, within your offices, at the warehouse, etc., or through the cloud application, there's that single common identity. The ability to, something that a lot of companies are starting to leverage as well, is the ability to have SQL data up in the cloud as a service and be able to synchronize data between your on-premise as well as your cloud-based environment. And lastly, just the ability to the full Azure security and management, and ensuring that between your on-premise infrastructure and the cloud, your firewalls, your connectivity, your virtual private networks, all have great synchronization, and again, ensure a very seamless experience for your users, regardless of where they're logging in, the applications in the cloud or on-premise. From an intelligent perspective, Microsoft just continues to invest in some great opportunities, and again, as a service so that you can connect to. I'll just give one example here with the Azure bot service. What a lot of websites, a lot of applications are using what they call bots to communicate and provide some mechanism for you to interact with. So let's say that you're going to your Starbucks and you want to place your order, and you either speak that order and using cognitive or voice, or you type in that order. You're typically interacting with what would be considered a bot. And behind the scenes, it's building up those communications and can respond back intelligently with you to complete that order, and ultimately then to send that order into for the store to be able to process. So those are the type of things, just one example again, that Microsoft has made as a service, that you can build your own bots, your own brand, that you can interact with your customers or your partners or your employees to really make that interaction or that experience seamless. As it relates to some of these tools, and we talked about bots, the cognitive piece is an amazing set of technologies that, again, is not the future. It's here today and available today for you. So the example you always would typically see with Microsoft is they'd have the ability to, like a McDonald's as an example, where you're taking an order, and it's basically you're interacting with a computer. In that case, it's translating all of your voice with a very high accuracy, even higher accuracy than we as humans can understand and translate, and being able to turn that then into a transaction. These are, again, our services that are right there today and available to you to interact with. And lastly, we hit on a little bit around the security, but I just really wanted to focus and ensure that where Microsoft is investing is to ensure that the things that their engineers use as a provider, as well as what's available to us as a partner or you as a customer, are advanced and top notch. And it's constantly being updated, constantly being provided with the latest in prevention, detection, and ensuring monitoring and management's happening. So you get proactive notifications if something's in your environment or someone from the outside is trying to get in or create any kind of havoc. So it's nice to have the backing of the entire engineering team at Microsoft, as well as us as a partner or your IT team, to ensure complete security there. And so we continue to see, and these are certainly some Microsoft numbers, but as you think about return on investment and measuring that, we always, and something that we certainly talk to our customers with about a lot, is setting forth that what is our cost, what's our investment, and how long will it take us to have payback on making these investments. And these are really appear to be gaudy numbers, but is really accurate numbers from 2017 estimate that was done from total economic impact of moving to an Azure type platform. So certainly, this would be a great target to have, but you certainly can expect to have a great return on investment as you look to move from an on-premise solution. So a couple more slides for me, and I'll turn it back over to Tyler. From Velosio, we've been working with our clients. I mentioned we have well over 50 customers that we're hosting. We're also helping clients move certain workloads over to the outside of our traditional Dynamics, our ERP or CRM solutions, and we have a real structured approach for that. So I'm going to walk you through this at a high level, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more at the end of this, kind of some next steps for how we can help. So our four-step process is really this. It's the assessment phase, where we'll come in and really through a pre-discovery questionnaire, through presentations, we see two real advantages. Number one, we're learning more about your business and your organization and where you are today from a technology perspective, but more importantly, as well from a strategic perspective. We like to also use this as an opportunity to educate yourself, your executive leadership, your IT team, your other business leaders, so they understand and can make a real informed decision on, is this a good direction for our business now? What typically we provide is a high-level review and really recommendations as part of that, and documenting those business and IT requirements, priorities, and constraints. Normally speaking, this could be done as simple as a couple hours. We've done it for larger clients in 4-hour block or even up to an 8-hour block. There is opportunity based upon, and we will work with you and also with Microsoft to even have this funded by either Velosio or Microsoft to really reduce your cost but give you a good jump start on the assessment phase. The next is our preparation, which is where we come in and do a full environment analysis and infrastructure review, provide you that assessment report, and if interested, and we've done this for a few customers, is develop a proof of concept and work through up to a couple planning sessions, through an assessment, and really execute that proof of concept. Maybe take one workload, one machine, one web server, one SQL server, one function that you want to move to the cloud, and just validate, does this work for you, and does it provide the return and expectations for what a cloud move would do. Also, based upon the project side, especially the POC, we can even fund that activity, and Microsoft's very interested in helping companies make that investment initially to just validate and proof that this is a good opportunity for them. If you decide that, hey, this looks great, and I want to continue to move not only maybe one application, one server to the cloud, we can help with that migration planning, design, deployment, testing, which is a critical step to ensure that everything is moved as over, especially if you're looking to integrate multiple systems together. We want to ensure that end-to-end, the cloud experience is that as well or better than what they're experiencing today on premise. And typically that's going to be a variable duration and cost based upon what's being moved over, and there is, again, sometimes funding available for Microsoft to help make that move more cost effective. And lastly, through our move to modern pathway, we focus on the operate, which is really, once you're in the cloud, we don't just move you there and say, congratulations, I hope you enjoy the cloud. We offer on our team managed services, configuration, continued backup and recovery, helping on the identity management or the integration with your Active Directory, and cost management and optimization activities as well, to ensure that as you look to grow, we'll be able to identify trends with you. Hey, if we really look to tweak this particular server resource, you'll either save costs because maybe we can bring it down, or maybe we need to increase it because you're not getting the productivity you need out of the environment. And those are available through different plans that we have, whether it be support or all the way up to full managed services as well. So I'm going to just spend a minute and talk about one of our customers, and just give you a little bit of background on this engagement, and just to give you a feel for what they went through as they look to move to the cloud. And so this client is a HVAC solution provider and based in the Mid-Atlantic, and they really have a great business around the commercial side of HVAC and equipment supplies. They really were affected initially by a pretty major outcome, which is they had ransomware that ultimately shut down their on-premise environment. And this include things that we were helping support from an application perspective. That's Dynamics GP, Dynamics CRM, they had Exchange Online that was being supported by another provider. And ultimately, before even the ransomware, they had been talking to us about the need to integrate systems and have more stability with those servers. And so ultimately, we talked with them about moving to Microsoft Azure. We built out a design around a hybrid cloud, and can we move your current Dynamics CRM, GP, and then ultimately also look to how can we get you off of the Exchange on-premise and then do a Microsoft Office 365 solution for email, as well as SharePoint Online, and looking to consolidate 7 terabytes of file storage up into Azure, but also potentially up into SharePoint, and provide a better collaboration tool. So that was really the engagement. That was a solution. Ultimately, we walked through a 3-step process with them, and essentially the planning piece, and really laying out a plan, design, talking about the migration, understanding the right tools based upon their current use case, and building out that plan. The next step was to do the pilot, where we prepped the environment, we migrated a couple servers, we performed both the technology tests as well as user testing, and just ensured, again, that in this case, the GP environment or the CRM environment was running at the optimal level, the integrations between the systems was working fine, and just in general, the usability was good. At that point then, once everything was ticked and tied, tested, we did a full migration, final cutover, and then essentially the final testing before we moved them into production. So a great step and process. The end result with this particular client was transferring 14 servers from their on-premise out of their data center into a virtual environment. So that includes remote desktop servers for the user connectivity for GP, CRM servers and application servers to publish the user experience for CRM, a handful of development servers, both application and SQL, as well as a number of third-party applications and web servers to support other lines of business or other areas of the business. Networking, a full Azure virtual network, cloud firewalls, and we build in a hybrid connection to ensure seamless interaction between the on-premise and the cloud environment for the users. They log in, they go to work, don't really have a difference between where these server resources are residing. Shared storage, as I mentioned, we move not only the application, GP, CRM data, but also user file storage and shared storage. About 7 terabytes of data we migrated up to the cloud. And the next step is, again, to evaluate that and start to move some of that over to more of a SharePoint format so it's easier for users to find and collaborate. And lastly, ensuring, especially with the issues that they had around the ransomware, is a strong Azure backup and recovery solution. Full VM backup recovery, full storage backup and recovery. The first time they had an incident on premise, they were down well over a couple weeks trying to get all their production environments back up. The second time it happened, we were in the process of moving to the cloud, so we were able to bring up the cloud side of the equation in a couple hours for the servers. The majority of the servers you see over here were up and running in a couple hours. So that really, again, is the power of using the cloud in an unfortunate situation from a backup and recovery, but to bring them back up and running in a much faster time frame. So Tyler, I'll turn it back over to you to talk about the marketplace.
Thanks, Lance. So one thing that Velosio has done is made it easy for our customers to order cloud subscriptions and make sure that they can manage their cloud subscriptions. So the first thing I would like to introduce you to is the Velosio Marketplace. Simply by visiting shop.velosio.com, you have access to our entire cloud portfolio. But what does our entire cloud portfolio look like? Next slide, Lance. So at Velosio, no matter if you're a corporate, education, government, or non-for-profit client, we can provide all of the solutions you need. With over 500 products in our portfolio, we can find a product that fits your organization, from solutions from global leaders like Microsoft and Adobe, all the way to custom products to help improve each organization's way of doing business. Our Stratos Cloud team is committed to working with different cloud providers and different cloud publishers to bring you the best industry leading and in-class solutions. As most of you can see, a lot of these products are Microsoft. However, most of people, if you're from the ERP world, will notice we also work with a lot of the ERP ISV publishers to help them bring their solutions to the cloud. But our Stratos Cloud team is also helping to change the way clients experience their cloud solutions, as well as the entire experience with working with us. We feel it's important to give back to our clients. We try to provide benefits that will help our clients get them to their next. We believe that you are not just a client, but a member of our family. With community calls, so clients can get to interact with each other, to summits where they can actually physically be together and interact. We want to bring our clients together to help each other as one of our goals. As your organization grows, we continue to help you manage and provide support to your organization as you need it, whether that is from our managed services or just our help desk. We can help make sure that your organization has the least amount of risk and the least amount of downtime possible. Here at Stratos, we are only as successful as our customers. And if for those who do not know, Stratos Cloud Solutions or Cloud Services is the cloud team at Velosio. As you can see, there's a lot of events that we do, but really the next steps of what we are looking, what you need to, let me run that back. The next steps for your organization is talk with your account manager or your account executive about our migration workshop. Evaluate whether you qualify for proof of concept funding, and that's something that your account manager can help you with. Start an inventory of your infrastructure and your application. See what's coming up for hardware refreshes. See where your application workloads are. But more importantly, join our community calls and learn how other Velosio clients are using the cloud. So really, I want to thank you guys for those who are Velosio customers at being one of the 4,000 we deal with on the direct side. From all of our industry focuses, all of our awards, all of our success, they don't mean anything without each one of you. And we are happy to keep you guys happy and your organizations growing. So with that, I will thank you for joining us. Up here on the screen is both Lance and my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us if you can't get a hold of your account manager, and we will be more than happy to help you. With that, I will open it to any questions.
Thanks, Lance and Tyler. So this concludes our webinar. We'll be sending a follow-up email with our presenters' contact information if you have any questions. Thanks again for joining.